Testing 1 2. Check 1 2.
Should we do it? Good morning. Wish to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, September the 20th, 2023. I will note for the record that all three commissioners are present here in the Nat U Hill room, and we'll begin with our commissioners' public statement.
We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Thank you. We'll now move on to department updates. Let's start with Ms. Kelly from the Health Department. Good morning.
Good morning. The updated COVID-19 vaccine is expected to be available at the Public Health Clinic by appointment beginning October 9th. We are still waiting on RSV vaccines, but expect those to begin shipping sometime next week. The clinic is open Monday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Tuesday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and on the second Saturday of the month from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can call 812-353-3244 for an appointment.
Any questions or comments? No. I did notice when I was out and about yesterday that Kroger is saying that it has the RSV vaccines in at this point.
Yes,
Well,
we have heard that for those who are 60 and older, they are available at Kroger.
thank you. And thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Kyle Gibbons from the jail, our jail commander. Good morning. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I just wanted to make sure you guys had updated information today. We currently have 200 inmates. In the last 48 hours, we have 17 bookings as well as 17 releases, 160 felony offenders, 30 misdemeanor, 2 parole holds, 2 DOC holds, 1 out of county hold, 1 out of state hold. Our recent bookings, what we're really dealing with in Monroe County lately as a whole, a lot of drugs and alcohol related. Recently, we have a possession of methamphetamine with various charges, syringe, paraphernalia. He had a probation hold as well. Operating while intoxicated endangerment, operating while intoxicated, a domestic battery, operating while intoxicated, threats, intimidation, battery. We've had various out-of-county warrants and various probation violation warrants. As a facility, in terms of sanitation refurbishment, right now we're working on the inmate worker dorm. They've been busy doing the entire facility, and as a result, they've needed sleep and rest. So we haven't been able to start that dorm yet. It's started now. We're working on the central control room, our processing. In our processing area, we added a platform, which is essentially about as high as this platform. It's about 6 inches off the ground. But what that's done is it's taken my officers from a seated position and elevated them so they can get a direct line of sight into the different pods down there at the bottom on the first floor. In addition to that, I've talked to Greg Crone at TSD. We're going to get a camera display so that they can see physically, virtually, and then on their count as well. Which obviously, anytime we can get eyes on is for the benefit of everybody, especially new bookings and people we really have to monitor as they come into the facility and evaluate those people. The fights among inmates are down significantly, which is always a great sign. That saves us money medically, but it also saves everybody time with classification changes, write-ups, dealing with injuries, medical observations, and it's just obviously great for the facility. And whenever it's safer, it's better, obviously. So use of forces are down in terms of employees having to use force to gain compliance, down dramatically. One thing that we're working on or having issues with is facility maintaining that maintenance that we've conducted. So 2 times a week, we have a team go in of correctional officers to clean the dorms. They go in each one. They do it 2 times a week. Throughout the week, the inmates have clean supplies that they can do it themselves, and a lot of them do. And they clean their own rooms, their showers, but we follow up to make sure that it's getting done as well. But it's still, it's not to my expectation. So what I'm going to try to do is create an incentive program. I'll go into each dorm, find 2 or 3 inmates and just say, hey, if you put in the extra work on my end, 1 time a month, I'll bring you into the indoor rec room. I'll project a movie on the wall. We'll find a movie that everybody wants to watch, get pizza and stuff like that. Just something to incentivize them to really maintain their area. And that's mostly what we're going for. What I'm also going to do is for the inmate workers as well, 1 time a month, try to get everybody down there and get them a break from things. I think appreciation goes a long way, really. That is all I have for current updates. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure that we touched base. Haven't seen you guys in a while. I'm sure you missed me. I missed you guys. Do you have any questions for me?
Do you have any questions?
I don't have questions. I'm just particularly pleased and impressed to hear that the number of fights have gone down. I take that as a really good sign.
It is.
No questions. Thank you for the update.
Yes, thank you. Are you serving popcorn at movie night?
Obviously, movie butter popcorn.
Thank you for coming over to share things with us.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Is there anyone else any other department that has an update? If not, Commissioner Thomas has something to put up on the screen. So this is to remind everyone that this evening we will be down at Summit Elementary School at 6:30 to talk about potential site for the new jail in our Justice Campus. And then for anyone who wants a second time or who can't make it tonight, we will be at the RCA Community Park Sunday at 3 p.m. And again, we're there to listen and to share just a little bit about the reason that the Thompson area is being considered, but mostly we want to listen to the people who live in that area. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No.
Commissioner Thomas?
Looking forward to it.
Yes, I am as well. So please come and join us if you can. And we appreciate Summit Elementary for making their space available for us to talk with folks tonight. So at this point in time, we'll open the floor for public comment. This is for items not on the agenda. It's limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And if you speak, please indicate your name and whether or not you're a resident of Monroe County. Is there anyone who has a public comment, either in person or virtually? Seeing none, let's move on then.
I move approval of the minutes for September 13th, 2023.
Second.
And I will note that we had a correction or two, but I believe that's been taken care of. So if there's no other comment, I'll call for a vote. Approval of the minutes from September 13th, 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the claims docket accounts payable September 20th, 2023 and payroll September 22nd, 2023.
Second.
Any comments or questions? No? Is there any public comment on this item? Yes?
Yes, to read them.
Oh, yes, you have to read them. Sorry.
Say, wait,
Thank you, Mrs. Miller.
The accounts payable claims docket for September 20th, 2023 totals $2,907,206.43. This includes all emergency claims and adjustments. The payroll docket for September 22nd, 2023 includes $1,331,393.96. in direct costs and the remaining $567,153.87 were for indirect costs for a grand total of $1,898,547.83.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller.
You're welcome.
I need a lot of people to keep me on track. Now, is there any other comment? Any other public comment or any public comment, please? See none, call for a vote on approval of the claims docket for accounts payable September 20th, 23 and payroll September 22nd, 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. I will note for the record that we have no reports, and so we'll move on to new business.
I move approval of the SRI Inc. online tax sale agreement, fund name County General, fund number 1,000, not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
And we have Ms. McClellan here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jessica McClellan, Monroe County Treasurer. I present to you the services agreement for SRI to hold our tax sale online again this year. It is just a simple flat fee of $20 per parcel of parcels that are offered at the sale. Last year we had around 40. Right now we have, as of today, we have around 65 parcels. That goes down every day. It's a very small fee and it is covered by tax sale cost, the tax sale fee that is added on to certified parcels on July 1st. So this does come out of County General unappropriated, but it is a cost that is completely covered by the tax sale fee process.
Questions or comments?
No, I don't. I believe we've looked at this a number of times before.
It's the same contract that we've had in past years.
And you've answered my question. Thank you. You have
Pardon?
answered my question.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
So these will be offered for sale on October the 3rd.
Yes, on October the 3rd online. To be a bidder, you have to register on our website, and that's all up on our website, or you can call our office and ask how to do it, and they will walk you through it. Bidder registration has to be done by September 3rd or 30th, because we have to check to make sure all bidders are current on their property taxes before they can be a bidder in the tax sale. And there's some other things that we have to check. If it's a corporation, we have to check to make sure they're registered with the state of Indiana, Secretary of State's office. So there's a few legal things that we have to check on all bidders.
Thank you.
Is there a list of the parcels on your website?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a list of parcels on the website, and it is posted physically in our office and updated once a week. And it is published in the newspaper 3 times.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I was gonna say, I saw it published, so
Mhm.
in very tiny print.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the SRI Inc. online tax sale agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Ms. McClellan.
Thank you.
Next item.
I move approval of the John Cody service agreement, fund name non-reverting, fund number 1179, in amount not to exceed $150.
Second.
And we have Ms. Whitmer here with us from the Parks Department.
Good afternoon or good morning.
We're hopeful.
We're hopeful. Bug Fest is at Cars Farm Park on Saturday, September 23rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This service agreement is to provide a 2-hour musical performance with children appropriate music from a guitar soloist.
Questions or comments?
Sounds like fun.
Good event. Thank you.
I know that this has gotten good attendance from year to year, so
Yes, it's usually, this is the first year at Cars Farm Park. Usually it is on Indiana University property, but there's been a change and we look forward to it.
thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the John Kogi service agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the Joe Lee Service Agreement, fund name non-reverting, fund number 1179, in amount not to exceed $100.
Second,
Again, we have Ms. Whitner.
This is also an activity at Bugfest. It is Jungle Joe's Flea Circus. And no animals are harmed in this performance.
Comments or questions?
I think I have to see this.
Well, it's a secret. So if you really want to know what's happening to Jungle, let me see, his is at 12:45 to 1:15 is the Flea Circus. So good news is the IU football game is in the evening, so families can do both things if they choose to on Saturday.
So 12:45, they can come out and see the bugs at Bugfest. Okay. Any comments or questions?
No, I just hope in the future we can avoid a conflict with the fall festival.
There are many partners with Bugfest.
Yeah. Yep, I know. It's hard to arrange, and it seems like every weekend there's something, which is fun, which is a great thing about Monroe County, but it is unfortunate.
We are a popular county.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for vote on the Joe Lee service agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. Next item, please.
I move approval of resolution 2023-27, the 2024 Monroe County government holidays.
Second,
And we have Miss Purdy here to talk about it.
Yes, good morning. This is just in housekeeping for Monroe County government. Is providing the holidays for next year. It does include one additional day, which is for the eclipse. As most of the community is aware, we're going to have a significant eclipse in coming across our area next April 8th. And the schools are already closed, and so it's seems most appropriate to add that to our list for this year.
Comments or questions?
no, I don't.
No, I just hope it doesn't rain.
Well, we're expecting a certain amount of gridlock, I think, traffic. And so,
Yeah, the town, the rural areas, everything will be packed full of visitors and people, and anything we can do to alleviate traffic is probably going to be helpful at this point.
and I don't know if it's correct, but I've heard that some of the special lenses that you can buy to look at the eclipse are pretty much sold out. So if not, please get online quickly and find something, because it can really damage your eyes to look at this directly. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on resolution 2023-27 for the 2024 Monroe County government holidays. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move ratification of the opioids settlement grant state fund number 57895, fund name and number to be determined, grant amount $576,000.
Second,
Then we have Ms. Purdy again.
Yes, so we spoke about this briefly last week during the work session. And this was a grant that Monroe County received as a result of work completed by our Commissioner Githens and also our health administrator. This funding will provide for covers two projects. One is for the cost of the acquisition and outfitting of for services of a building and an outreach van for IRA. And the second is to help our current health department expand their harm reduction efforts by purchasing and distributing harm reduction supplies to local organizations that provide evidence-based harm reduction services in our communities. We will be receiving a total of $576,000 in matching funds from the state.
Comments or questions?
I'm just pleased that we got this.
Thank you for your hard work.
Oh, it was,
It's really, really great effort and great program. So
yeah, kudos to the employees in our health department and to Nick Foyles of the Indiana Recovery Alliance. They all put in significant time and effort to make this possible too. And I guess I just would like to point out that harm reduction is an opportunity to interface or interact with people who are using illicit substances. And this is one of the ways that we can get them into recovery, but any type of harm reduction aims at keeping people alive. So I'm very pleased that the state agreed that this was a worthwhile project. And this is additional money beyond the opioid settlement money that we've gotten from the state. So hopefully we can get moving on these things. Is there any public comment on this item? I see we have Mr. Askins here in the room. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Askins with the B Square Bulletin. Just a quick question on the nature of the match. Is that a straight up one-to-one match? And a follow-up question, is there enough money in this year's allocation of the opioid settlement money to the county to cover that entire match? Or do we have to cobble together multiple years to achieve that? Thanks.
Thank you. First, no, it is not a one-to-one match. The state is supplying more of the funds than our county is, and we had enough from last year's opioid settlement money to more than meet our portion of this match. So we've got that. We don't have to wait additional time. And I see Councilmember Iverson with his hand raised. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Githens. And I just want to applaud you all on the hard work that not only you, but the IRA and the Health Department are doing. Of course, SUDAC, the Substance Use Disorder Advisory Commission, is very, very pleased to see all this coming to fruition. And my question is, will the van be named?
We'll leave that to the Indiana Recovery Alliance. They currently have a name for their failing van. The van is called Larry. But one of the positive things about getting a new van is it can go additional places. We can reach out even beyond Monroe County, can go to fairs, can go to all kinds of places to introduce the concept even to new individuals. So I'm very pleased that this will be happening. Thank you. Is there any other comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on ratification of the opioid settlement grant state fund number 57895. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the professional services supplemental amendment for the opioid settlement. An amount to reduce from 33.3% to 8.7%.
Second.
And we have Mr. Cockrell.
Yes, when we began the opioid litigation as a county, it was a kind of a risky venture, and so we did not want to pay an hourly rate for attorneys. So we entered into a fee arrangement where they would receive a third of any monies we got from that. Given the state of the settlement in state code, we are agreeing with our attorneys to lower that from 33.3 to 8.7%, which is in line with the settlement documents from the opioid settlements that have occurred. This is kind of a housekeeping item because we had already made these changes for the first round of opioid settlements. We are now going through a second round of opioid settlements with the distributors. And so this would reduce the fees for that and any other that fall under that code section, which we had engaged them for at the beginning of this. So, you know, the previous item they asked for, I think when we looked at the spreadsheet or the spreadsheet that they had on their website, we were intending to get, I think we were expecting to get about 100,000 in unrestricted funds this year. If you look at that website now, it's up to 400,000. So this is a significant change. And I think that we're wanting to get this done in place with the state so it doesn't delay any distribution of that settlement funding.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
No, I don't.
I'm just assuming this is because there are more litigants involved in the why this got reduced. I'm not complaining, but
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Okay.
I think, and this is a brief cursory history. It may be 90% accurate. It may be 100% accurate. But when this started, it was, at least in Indiana, it was a lot of the local units. We worked with the city of Bloomington in that we both utilized this law firm as part of our opioid settlement. And it was really more of a city push to get these opioid settlements going. And then I don't want to speak too negatively about the state, but it seemed like, from my perspective, that once it looks like, hey, we're really going to be successful here, then the state stepped in and the state attorney general kind of took over a lot of this, and the state code changed to allow this attorney general to do that. And so we're paying a lower fee because that's what our settlement documents indicate. But you know, there's some of us in the county, and I think the colleagues of my city legal would agree with this, is that we're kind of, our 8.7% is kind of the burden that we're paying that the other units who weren't involved in early would have had. They aren't paying it, right? I mean, so in some sense it's reduced because of just how the settlement worked out. But you know, we're paying the freight for a lot of people who aren't having to pay this.
Yeah.
And
got it. Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this item? We'll ask Mr. Cockrell, is there still other companies that have not yet settled with the state of Indiana? So there is the opportunity for additional opioid settlement money. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Again, is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on professional services supplemental amendment for the opioid settlement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the professional services agreement with DLZ Indiana LLC, fund name Edit Band, fund number 4816, in an amount based upon total construction cost pre-design not to exceed $315,000.
Second.
Want to give me a Mr. Cockrell?
Yes, and I'm just going to hit the high points because we've discussed this at last week's work session, and I think we actually talked about it at an earlier work session where I had some questions for you. I think the big question that we answered between the first time I brought this to you and now is that we are going to use the construction manager as advisor schedule, which means that the construction manager will not be performing work on the site. That's what this contract is geared to allow. This is a standard AIA document that we deal with quite frequently, but when we look at these projects, we typically don't include the pre-design services in the design costs. And so I think when we initially had this contract, they were including that. And so what we did is that we have a not to exceed of 315,000, and it's a not to exceed that is much like what we use with DLZ, is that when they get close to that number, they don't think they will, but if they do, they'll give us notice, and then we'll have to get back together and kind of figure out paths forward. So that would include kind of all the, for instance, as we go through the process, when we select a site, that would include a lot of the work that we had contracted for earlier with Fullerton for them to do, that is included in kind of these pre-designed services as well. So we won't have a separate contract for kind of that initial, hey, the review of the site. It's kind of all baked into that pre-designed services in this agreement. It also includes them going to the departments and seeing what needs are and those kind of things. So with that, the remaining expense is a percentage, 4.5% of the construction costs. And again, I think our estimates for the jail, if it were 400 beds, is about 70 to 75 million. If we decided to do the justice complex with it, it would have about the same estimated price tag, just to kind of give you a feel for the variations and why I didn't put a number in there, because there's just too big of a window of where this could fall into. So this is to provide services, and each step of the services would require the county's permission to move to the next one. So pre-design services are complete. When the county commissioner says, yes, we're satisfied with these pre-designed services, then we'll go to the design services, and those won't be complete until the commissioners say yes. So it's all in one contract, but each step requires county approval to move on to the next one. And I know Mr. Carnegie's here via Zoom because he has other work, and so he's out of state right now. So if you have any questions for them, for DLZ, I know he's here as well.
Comments or questions?
I don't have any questions. I'm just pleased to see this moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're on a good path, and I appreciate all the hard work that's been done to get us this far. Thank you, Mr. Cockrell, and everyone else who's worked on it.
And do we have any sense of when we'll have the geotechnical and environmental reports back on the site, the Thompson site?
I believe the environmental reports, the phase 1 and the site recon, I think we'll have it by the end of this month. I received an email from the geotechnical giving me the date where he was going to go out, and I want to say I think it's sometime next week, and so they'll go out and do that work, and then I think it'll probably be a few weeks after that before we would get that. So I would expect them both to be back within a month. I think the appraisers are probably in that time period too. The first appraisal we asked for should be back within that time frame. The second one might have a few more weeks, just because that contract was approved a few weeks later. So I would expect mid-October we would have all that information.
And I do want to repeat for the public that we have not settled definitively on the Thompson site. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we're having community discussions today and next Sunday. But this is some of the preliminary work we would have to do for any site that we would choose.
And I would just reiterate that even if you don't choose the Thompson site, we do own 90 acres and we are trying to get a key access point to that 90 acres. So all that work makes sense, and reviewing the purchase of the property makes sense irregardless of whether that site is chosen, because it's a key access point for that site.
Excellent. Good point. Is there any public comment on this item? I see Councilmember Iverson's hand raised again. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Githens. Obviously, as JFAC is winding down, this contract represents the logical next step, and I'm really thankful to see the expansions of pre-designed services in the contract. My question is, now, if the contract is approved today, would work on those pre-designed services begin relatively soon, or would that be contingent upon receiving those reports back from the sites, whether it's the environmental reports or others?
And I guess I'm going to ask Scott to correct me if I'm wrong here, but when we're talking about these pre-designed services, we're really talking about a couple different things. I think the thing that I would expect to occur rather quickly is to begin the working with our departments, working with, analyzing the space needs and the space we have in our current facility to see what those are going to be for the new facility, irregardless of where it is. I think that clearly those reports would have to come back before they can do any kind of analysis for the Thompson site itself. So I guess to answer your question, I would expect that phase one where they're going to start scheduling meetings with departments and meeting with local stakeholders to occur rather quickly with the, hey, looking at the property, clearly they need all that information before they can begin. I hope that answers your question.
It does. And the chart in Article 4 of the contract is very helpful to kind of visualize all of those. So thank you for answering my question.
I see we have Mr. Carnegie here. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I really don't. Jeff, I think, did a good job explaining the programming could start immediately, and it is not contingent upon any in particular site. And the programming phase is really where we meet with the various departments to assess their needs.
And I will note that as the three of us have traveled to different locations and observed different facilities, that I, in particular, am very much in favor of increasing the programming space, the recreation space. I would love to see space for gardening. I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but there are things that we do not have in our current facility that I think would enhance some of the things we even heard about today about lowered fights and some of the ways we work with people who are there who are suffering from mental illness, all kinds of things. Anything else?
Nope.
So I don't see anyone else who wishes to make public comments. So with that, call for a vote on DLC LLC Professional Services Agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. We do not have any appointments. I will again remind the public that we will be at Summit Elementary School, the three of us, along with Sheriff, this evening at 6:30 to look at potential site for the jail and the Justice Complex. And we will also be at RCA Park on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So this is all open to the public. Please join us. If you're not able to attend either meeting, please send your feedback to Commissioner's Office at co.monroe.in.us. Free COVID testing is still available at the Monroe County Health Department and at the Public Health Clinic at 333 East Miller Drives. Please, if you're interested in serving on one of the county boards or commissions, please go to www.co.monroe.in.us. And I'll remind everyone that the commissioners are still holding office hours. They're virtual. They're listed on our calendar. If you see one, you can just click on it and join us virtually. And we are still holding blood drives. Next one is October 18th from 10 to 3. And there's one Thursday, October the 19th from 1 to 6. Those are at Ivy Tech Shreve Hall. And if you have recently given and need to wait a bit longer, there's one November the 8th from 1 to 6 p.m. and Friday, November the 10th from 10 to 3. For those who have not already done so, I urge you to sign up for the Monroe County Alert Notification System. Again, that's at our main website. And for anyone who is struggling to meet rent or paying for utilities, if you're income qualified, please contact your township trustee. That we have provided additional funds to help people stay housed and with the heat and lights turned on. Do any of my colleagues have anything further?
No, I don't.
With that, we will adjourn and we do not have a work session, so we will be back here on Wednesday, September the 27th, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we'll be back next week or not. We'll need to sort that out. We will notify people later. So thank you, everyone, and hope you have a great day. So long.